Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the United for Land Pavilion. I'm happy to welcome you at the event on experiences and resourcefulness of women on the front lines and combating drought. My name is Inkar Kaderjanova. I am the Senior Natural Resources Officer at the FAO's Office for Climate Change, Biodiversity and Environment, and I'll be your moderator today. We have an exciting panel here with us. We have three smart experts that are working in different parts of the world on the issues of gender, promoting the women's role and fighting for gender equality in the context of land degradation. I would like to introduce you Lorena Aguilar. She will be our first speaker. Lorena is the Executive Director of the Kashak Institute for Social Justice for Women and Girls. And next to her is Carla. Carla comes from IUCN. Carla Magente Ronda. She is the program officer at the IUCN. And our next speaker is Miles Zulu. She is a member of the We Can network from Zambia. Carla is the CEO and the founder of the Safe Environment People's Agency. We also will have one more speaker, Fida Haddad. She will join us online from FAO. Fida is working at the FAO's Division on Forestry. So unfortunately, our neighbors are very loud, so we'll have to compete for space with them. So we'll try to be loud as well. So this event is about the stories and experiences that women live and women know in their daily life. And this is the story about the women who are engaged in the land management that are fighting with the drought, and they are at the forefront of the work against the combating the drought. These are the women who are also the champions of change. They are the leaders of their communities, and they're also making significant breakthrough in all the areas of their life and engagement in academia, the international work, and also at the community level. This workshop is, or this event is organized by FAO together with the UNCCD Secretariat. And at this event, we would like to demonstrate the experiences and the achievements that this partnership has achieved in implementing the global network, which is called We Can, which brought together the women activists that are working on at the intersection of gender, the women's right, climate change, and land degradation. And today, along our fantastic panel, we will showcase the exciting examples where women are at the forefront of community action, and where they demonstrate the innovative approaches and promote the work around this 3R. And these are the action that enhance rights, bolster representation, and harness resources. I know that we don't have that much time, so without any further ado, I would like to pass the floor to our first speaker, Lorena. And Lorena will talk about the lost gender in droughts. Can we have Lorena's PowerPoint presentation, please?
Thank you very much. I think you need, probably to move all of us a little bit. Oh, watch out, sister, with your... Okay. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a study we did for UNCCD in relation to the differentiated impacts of on women and men from drylands and droughts. So let's start first with some of the data. So what is in the background? What are we talking about? Over 50% of the disaster damages and losses are caused by droughts worldwide. Actually, 85.8% of the livestock losses are is affected by water scarcity at the moment, and as many as 700 million people are at risk to be displaced in some of these areas. And this does have an incredible differentiated impact of women when you see that globally, women and girls spend 200 million hours a day collectively in fetching water. And in some areas like sub-Saharan Africa, one round trip takes 33 minutes in average areas. But in addition to that, we have to see what that causes. I mean, it's not only the carrying of the water, but the impact that that has on the bodies of the women. The prevalence of spinal, neck, or back pain was 69% in a study that was conducted in South Africa. And for women carrying containers on their head, 19.5 kilos. That is like, you multiply that by 2 when it becomes 2 pounds. So, but there is also, I mean, not water. We're seeing it all around drylands. The effect, for example, on food distribution. New studies that are being conducted within a household find out that within the same household, women and girls are having anemia and they're having desnutrition compared to other male people in the household. Why? Because they distributed the food in a different way. When you ask women, how do you distribute, for example, a chicken? They said, the breast to the man or the boys, then the other pieces, and I said, and what do women get? The neck and the feet. They are the last ones to eat. So when droughts affect and where the climate variability is really having an impact on food production, at the forefront, women act like a buffer zone when it comes to these problems, when it comes to environmental degradations. Of course, we know about women exclusion. However, in this study that we did, we found out something that I have never read or analyzed anywhere, and this psychological burden of women when they cannot be the carekeepers anymore. This thing of, I need to provide for my kids, I need to provide for my family, I have to provide them with the water. This is causing tremendous psychological anxiety in a lot of women that are working on the drylands. I'm not able to fulfill my role anymore because nature is not providing me so that I can provide. And for the first time, we see this reflected in the national drought plans. Like, for example, in Venezuela and Central Africa, very vocally for the first time. So that is quite interested. And care work. Also, I mean, it's very interesting how in 9 of the national drought plans from parties to UNCCD convention, for the first time, they're talking about the impact that this is having in the workload that women are having. Never before we have seen this in the national drought plan. So I think it's a new area of work. It has been acknowledged in this convention a little bit. It has been acknowledged by UN Women, for example, and it has been acknowledged in some of the former conferences. So what is happening? How are women coping? Well, we see that the projects that are really having a better impact are the ones that have these right eyes, as we call it, and you have the eyes. They're inclusive. It's not about women and men. It's trying to bring everybody within the communities about age in relation with other communities as well. It has to improve the quality of life. But I want to make a lot of call your attention to the topic of innovation, because a lot of times when we're working with gender issues, people think that it's about giving women chickens and pigs, that it's about giving them a cook stove or putting them a latrine to fertilize. That is not only gender issues. You have to think about more innovative type of ideas. Get out of the household. So I think that that is something very important. And then, of course, we need to bring transformation. And let me share some of the examples. They're very interesting examples of what is happening. For example, this Shamba chef in East Africa that are using media to focus women to use clean, full, efficient cook stove, drought-resistant crops varieties. And they're doing this all through different media that really reach women, which is very interesting. We have these examples, how, for example, in Morocco, there's no more water on the underground in a lot of areas. So they are working on fog harvest, something that has been done in many years ago, but now is being really implementing. And this new first rural reality competition that I thought it was extremely interesting, in which encouraging especially women and girls to adopt. So, but they do have a virtual competition in which they come and showcase some of these things. Self-solar market gardens in Benin, where they combine solar power pumps with dripping irrigation systems, and they produce high-value nutritious, allowing women and girls to relocate part of their time to do other things. So this is a combination between new introduction of new technologies and dripping water with this type of effects. And unfortunately, not everything is positive when we talk about coping strategies. We have perversive or erosive coping mechanisms. We see, for example, an increase in what is called the child brides of the droughts, girls 6 and 8 years of age, especially in the sub-Saharan area and some parts of India and Afghanistan, being sold for $10, $15 as the last resort from the family to survive to some of these droughts. And this something that we thought was in decrease in past years, and we have seen a tremendous increase in areas which are affecting. And migration, 33 of the national drought plans address migration, but only 7 acknowledge the differentiated impacts of migration by gender. And it's very interesting because when you talk to the women that are migrating, they make this reference like, man, they leave, but we carry our responsibility with us. We carry the responsibility of looking at those of us that are migrating with us. What are we going to feed them? Where are we going to get the water? How are we going to survive if our family members get sick? And just to end, I mean, unlike coronavirus, there will never be a vaccine against gender inequalities. So the time for action is now. And that is with my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lorena. Thank you for giving us so much hope, which is supported by the evidence, the facts, and the stories. And thank you for taking us quickly around the world and giving us the stories of success and of women-led decisions in different areas of work. Is it the community engagement, the technologies, the innovation? So it's really very remarkable. And I didn't have the chance to tell you that I'm actually your admirer. I read a lot of publications that you wrote on gender and climate change and gender and land management. So thank you so much for your work, and thank you for being here with us today. I know that you have a very busy schedule and you have to run. So you have to catch a plane. So thank you so much. Yeah, great. So now we are moving on, and the next speaker on our agenda is actually my dear colleague Fida. Fida couldn't come to the COP, but she sent a pre-recorded presentation. And this is about the new policy brief that FAO has prepared recently.
Good afternoon, good morning, of where you are. I'm Fida Haddad, the Dryland Forestry Officer. Thank you for this opportunity to present our South-South network on women community of practice to support the knowledge sharing and upscaling this information and knowledge among women across the dryland regions that is under the threat of climate change. Allow me first to give you an overview of what is WCAN community. Groups, civil organizations, public institutions, practitioners, researchers to join this community of practice as a space where collectively they can raise their voices, share ideas, knowledge, experience, and also solutions through a South-South knowledge sharing platform. The moment we started, we drew a very simple theory of change, which is if women's group, civil society organizations, women leaders, women, let's say, leaders also have the opportunity to raise their voices fully and meaningfully, participate and attain roles with adequate and ample power of roles and responsibilities at different levels, including national, regional, global levels, they would have the incentive to take part and invest in success. If women's group, civil society organizations, women leaders, women, let's say, leaders also have the opportunity to raise their voices fully and meaningfully, participate and attain roles with adequate and ample power of roles and responsibilities at different levels, including national, regional, global levels, they would have the incentive to take part and invest in sustainable integrated landscape management, supporting the agriculture and forest linkages through the agroforestry, for example, restoration of forest and land restoration in dryland areas, as well as provide adaptation techniques, solutions to support their communities. And from here, we had a global gathering for our members across the dryland regions last May in Rome to share different cases and experiences. And we found that those members, they demonstrated the 3 R's to support their goals and raise their voices at their local and national level. These 3 R's are rights, representations, and resources. If these 3 R's combined, women can improve their participation, advocate for their voices, and support their engagement. Therefore, we found that raising awareness on rights among women's advocating for women's empowerment with diverse stakeholders, championing women's representations in decision-making process, and ensuring the availability of efficient and sufficient technical and financial resources to promote women leadership roles that will contribute to strengthen and incentivize women to be part of the leadership process and raise the voice and needs of their status at different levels. What we mean by the 3 R's? We mean by promoting rights. Most of large-scale advocacy, for example, and actions on women's rights often take place on the global level. However, it might be difficult to feel the effect of these global efforts in practice at local level. A critical factor here we found out of the different practices and projects implemented by WCAN members in affecting or let's say, changing the narrative at the grassroots level, we found that encouraging women's active participation, providing education, funding opportunities, and the training, and ensuring their involvement in the decision-making process at their level will upholding women's rights in practice. In Zambia, for example, our member believes that knowledge of rights is the key for the empowerment, the key to do the empowerment, the women empowerment. And to do so, Miles from Zambia driven her commitment to gender equality and expanded her effort by simplifying complex legal language for the local population and traditional leaders on on land rights, women's rights, and she applied various media channels, including radio, television, social media, to disseminate the policy information and increase the awareness at the front level. And she succeeds to change the narrative at her local level, and now she's sitting at the room next to you. Grace, for example, from Tanzania, also played an important role in northern part of Tanzania in transforming over than 6,500 Maasai pastoralist women from passive observers into leaders at their community level, in deciding mainly on actions related to their land rights and decision-making by working alongside with the pastoralist women's council, all through trainings, different community dialogues that enable women to be aware of their rights and advocate and claim for their rights to use, to benefit from the different natural resources. The second R we found is that we need to strengthen the representation. So to create a gender-just future for all, multi-stakeholder policies must be socially, economically, and politically inclusive, accepted by different stakeholders. Unfortunately, not all the decision makers, or for example, the convention's participants or delegates are fully aware of the realities on the ground, including also, among others, the challenges that are related to the women's needs, challenges, capacities on the ground. So to change this trend, it's important to understand the distinction between merely acknowledged women needs in international and national plans or strategies and effectively engage them. And this is what we mean by strengthening the participation. Strengthening the participation can be enhanced by different small actions on the ground. For example, in Zimbabwe, the movement which has fostered women's leadership is through the Rural Women's Assembly, and that's a unique opportunity. Weekend Member played a crucial role in guiding women involved in land rights, in lobbying and providing them with the necessary information, training capacities, advocacy, and awareness campaigns to support and to support their local communities or her local communities and stand for their needs. So, for example, she used mobile application within the women assemblies to raise the women awareness and strengthen their participation and their voices in taking up the decisions related to their land rights. In Lebanon, Dunya committed to both environmental conservation and economic sustainability, with her belief that this will be the way to encourage women to stay and contribute and invest on their lands and not, and let's say, avoid further internal migration from rural areas into the big cities in Lebanon. Now, Dunya and her team have become part of the Lebanese Council of Women and have collaborated closely with the National Commission of Lebanese Women. And now she is representing her countries as a member of national delegates that has the role in improving the gender language and gender negotiations articles with the support, like the endorsement of Lebanon. But also the youth women has a role, in fact, important role as well in supporting the accessibility of information and therefore enhance the participation. Kinza from Morocco, that is also with Dunya, both are, I think, are sitting among you now. As an activist, she's now engaged with the Youth Advisors Council at the Ministry of Environment in Morocco and she's now participating within her delegates to support the youth engagement, mainly women voices, as part of the youth sector to support her countries in implementing the climate change actions. So these small beliefs, actions at local level, if invest on these small actions, that will strengthen the representation of women at leadership level. The third R is to utilize the resources. And here we don't mean by resources only that we have to have financial resources to improve the participation or leadership of women. Resources also include technical resources. So while financial resources are important, technical resources like equipment, technologies, capacity building, awareness, equally critical to be available for to support the women engagement and the women leadership process. So that will help to strengthen or to